Yep, just did a release on my birds today, and they had a strong tailwind. They got home real quick.
Yeah, I think I saw you posted a video, right?
Yeah. I just did a release at the Walmart parking lot. People kind of were like, "What's that guy
Yeah.
doing?" I mean,
Oh yeah.
there's few and far between pigeon people up here.
Yep. I release at Walmart all the time. It's a good vibe.
Really nice. Yeah,
Walmart's,
big open
Depot,
parking lot. Yeah.
parking lot, movie theaters.
Typically, I'll be doing mine at I do mine at cemeteries for the most part because I do white dove releases. I want to make sure the whites, are familiar with the area.
I like cemeteries because there's no wires. There's never any wires around.
Oh yeah, I guess I never thought about that. Yeah, a few more tree like the one that we do. The one cemetery's got real thick with trees, so they got to kind of fly low for a little bit until they pop into an opening and then they get up. But yeah, just like with the Walmart parking lot, no wires. I mean, I guess any big parking lot's is going to be a big surface area and a big area above it too, so it works out pretty good.
Yeah, get high enough before they see the wires, or they should.
And they've desecrated those and everything else. But
us people were pretty good at that. Pretty good at ruining things.
Right. Well, we're tomorrow is Arizona's birthday. Fun fact. Wow. I don't know if you knew that, Phil, but
I did not. I didn't even get anything for this state, man. I feel bad now.
Yeah, they can run out and grab a cake after this.
Right.
We missed the tricentennial. Sorry, man. Anyway, what are we talking about today, Phil?
We got Kyle Martin here from the Louisiana Perch One Loft race. Actually, Chris pointed this out. Did you come up with that name, like playing on the whole Louisiana purchase?
I did, and I'm glad you got it because a lot of people have not gotten it.
I got that right away. I said, "Oh, cute Perches."
Yeah,
nice job. I almost named it Louisiana Perches, like Perches, but I thought that would have been just a little bit too corny. So I stuck it at the Louisiana.
Yeah, I mean that would have been a little bit on the nose, but I mean I would have helped me because I didn't catch it until Chris pointed it out. Then I was like, I wonder, man, because that's pretty clever if that's what he was doing.
Yeah, it just came to me one day, and I was like, I like it.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm gonna go with it.
So how long?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, how long? When did you start this? Like officially?
So, well, this will be the first year officially. But if you don't mind, I can just jump into a quick background on me.
Yeah, go for it, man.
I got out of the military in 2019 and pretty quickly got back into the pigeon sport. And when I was a kid, I'll go back even further. I've been in pigeons my whole life. My grandfather was in the Pigeon Corps in World War II, so I was kind of born into the sport. My dad, he is 76 years old. He'll be 77 years old this year, and he flew pigeons his whole life. And his health isn't in the best anymore, so he doesn't have pigeons right now. But I grew up doing it. I went through the ROTC program in college, commissioned as an infantry officer in the Army. So between college and the military, I really couldn't have pigeons at that time. So once I got out of the Army in 2019, I was pretty eager to get back into it. So as soon as I bought myself a little piece of property on 5 acres, I got with the local club, Northside Limited Club. Bud Williams is a secretary up there. He's a mentor of mine, and he was able to get me a bunch of pigeons to get started. And I remember, when I was a kid, I didn't really know much about one loft races. We didn't compete in those, and we just did club racing. And after I got back into the sport, I started kind of Googling it and figuring out what these races were, and I was just fascinated by it. And I told Bud and all those guys that I was going to start a one loft race, and they were like, I think they just kind of didn't really take me too seriously, because it's one thing to say something, it's another thing to do something. But here we are just a couple years later, and I'm starting my race.
Do you belong to any race clubs right now?
I do, yeah. I fly with Lafayette Racing Pigeon Club in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Okay, right on. So how does that work? You have your own lofted pigeons that you kind of keep far away from the big one loft setup, and you got them guys trained there.
Yeah, I live on 20 acres now, and I actually have an easement that goes through my property for the neighbor to kind of get to his property. And I surveyed that off. So I have my house on one side of the street, which is about 15 acres. And then on the other side of the street, I surveyed that off for the one loft race. And that's about 5 acres over there. So it's still, quite a ways apart, really, between the two lofts.
5 acres is 330 by 330.
Genius.
Yeah, he's quick with that math. I don't know what it is. So, I mean, what kind of drove you to do a one loft race? I mean, that's a pretty specific way to go with it if you're already club racing and stuff. And
So when you're in the military, it's like there's a big level of like competition, just like, I guess competition. Whenever I got out of the military, I got into medical sales, and I did that for 5 years. And although there was a lot of competition and stuff involved with that, with like leaderboards and dashboards, I just don't know if that was like my true passion. So when I got back into the birds, all I wanted to do was be in the loft and race the birds. But I still had to work, full-time job. I just really wanted to find a way, like, how could I do my hobby and my passion and make it lucrative and have an income out of it. Yeah. And I feel like there's few people in the world that can truly have a profession of what their passion is, and if you can do that, that's a really good life. And it just kind of came to a head, my last career, it was kind of a now or never moment when we moved back out here to Louisiana. I just felt like if I don't do this now, I might not ever do it. So I kind of just made a quick jump and broke ground and built a very large loft.
That's cool, man. I mean, yeah, if you're passionate about it, you're going to do good in it. That's awesome. So with your one loft race, how many birds are you looking to get in there for it to pan out for everybody?
Yeah, so the loft is 4,300 total square feet. It's 130 foot long, 30 foot wide, and it has a 20 by 20 foot landing board. I could fit comfortably 3,000 pigeons in there. I think it'll take quite some time to kind of grow that big, just being that this is my first year, and I think I have to kind of prove to the pigeon sport that I can run a race first before a lot of people are going to jump in. But I will tell you, I mean, we've had a ton of support already. I think on Wind Companion there's already around 750-ish birds registered. So that is, I will tell you, that it is kind of larger than I was expecting, being that it was my first year. But I'm pretty thrilled to kind of have that support.
What's the entry fee for your race?
The perch fee is $100, or send 6 birds for $500. Okay. And I'm also doing a little a promo where if you send a team of 6, I'll send you a Louisiana Perch hat for free.
Okay. Now what's the activation?
The activation is $350.
Okay.
And that 100% of that goes toward the prize pot. I don't take a percentage of that.
Okay. So explain perch fee. What is a perch fee and why do we have it?
Yeah. Well, so ultimately a perch fee is really the income for the handler. The handler that's putting on the race, he doesn't do it for free, right? I mean, it's
right.
A lot. If you guys knew how much money went into this, your jaws would drop, because believe me, mine already has it. I'm really good at spending money right now. That's all I've done so far is spend money. Some guys they'll take like a percentage out of the activation money to kind of pay for expenses, but you figure feed, vaccinations, chips, obviously the loft itself, the clocking system, the antenna pads. I mean, there's just an endless, all of the medications, bath pit. I mean, I could just go on and on, forever of how much money goes into this sport. So the fee up front is for the handler to run the race. Then the activation fee is all of that money goes toward the prize pot. That's what the payout comes out of.
So your perch fee pays for care, expenses, training, travel costs, all that stuff.
Everything.
And everything included. And then your activation fee, that's pretty much your wager.
Yes, sir.
Hello and welcome to the All About Pigeons podcast. I'm Phil.
And I'm Chris.
And today we have with us Kyle Martin. He is hosting the Louisiana Perch One Loft race. And he's telling us all about his one loft race, one loft racing, and what makes his different. We really appreciate you coming on today, Kyle. Thank you.
I appreciate it, guys. And I will say, I appreciate you guys even having this. I didn't know, until you kind of reached out to me on Facebook and we had a little correspondence. I didn't know this existed. And just looking at, kind of the way the world's going and just technology and kind of the way the sport's going, back when my dad was a kid, everybody flew pigeons. But I think this is it's a different level to kind of reach the community, kind of spread the news about the sport. So I appreciate you guys doing this. It's cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. They were all about promoting it, and we definitely appreciate it when we can get people on here, and especially with one loft racing right now, it's the nature of things seems to be going towards one loft racing. It's a lot easier, especially here in the States. They're kind of popping up everywhere.
Yeah, it is. It's significantly easier on the breeders. I mean, you could just have a couple pairs at the house, and once you send those babies off, it's pretty much hands off for you at that point. And
Absolutely,
yeah, it's significantly easier. Plus, I mean, anytime there's money involved, people like that. Unfortunately, sometimes when there's money involved, that can bring some bad things as well. But I do think it is kind of the way the sport is going. But I will say, as a club flyer myself and somebody that absolutely loves club flying, I hope we're able to keep both for a very long time. But
yeah,
time will tell.
I wish there was a club in my area and that it would be more affordable. But even just starting a club, like you're talking about, starting a one loft setup, it's the clocks, the timers, everything else. It's very expensive to get started in that. So yeah, for guys to just be able to, like you're saying, just breed a couple of really good ones, send those good ones off, it's way easier than trying to drive 100 miles every now and then and do training for your birds and meet up at the clubhouse and stuff. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the training is so crazy with if you want to be successful, you have to train the birds. Everybody has a full-time job. Somebody told me when I was a kid, if you wanted to get into the pigeon sport, you either have to be rich or retired, and I'm neither of those things. So that's it makes it a lot more difficult.
So out of all these different ones, is there anything that kind of sets your one loft race apart that makes it different from all the other one lofts that are going on?
I think, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I kind of actually set out to do something very crazy. And whenever I decided I wanted to start a one loft race, I kind of saw that I think there's over 80 of them now. And I'm like, geez, what am I going to do that's different? I was going to run a race in all directions, north, south, east, and west. I do train my birds personally that way for the club, because when I worked in medical sales, I would drive a different direction to a different hospital every day. And where I went, the birds went. And the birds flew awesome. The returns were great. They were just a very smart group of pigeons. And I do think, the birds could do that. But I do think it would have significantly more losses than the average one loft race that goes one direction. The main reason I changed from that was, for one, some of my mentors told me probably not a good idea first getting started out to have a race that could potentially have some bad returns. And then also, the more I looked into the sport and kind of what the breeders want, they just want a good, honest race and a handler that has integrity and someone that they can trust. I guess that's, I don't want to say that sets me apart in the sense of saying that other people don't have that, but that's what I'm setting out to do, is just run a good, honest race. And even though it'll be very similar to a lot of the other races, I think it's okay. I think I'll just have to kind of, build a name for myself and show the community that I can run a race, and the clients will come, if you will. It might just take some time.
No, I mean, you definitely you're pretty transparent about it. I mean, you're doing videos and you're really keeping everybody up to date with the ongoings of the loft and everything else. So, I mean, I think that's what a lot of it is lacking, is just, communication and transparency, instead of just shipping off your birds and then not hearing anything until race day. That's right. Where,
Yeah, 100% agree. And there's a couple guys that do it very, very well. And I looked up to them from the transparency standpoint, and all the, the Facebook Lives are big. I will say I plan on doing much more Facebook videos than I've already done. But I just got Wi-Fi installed in the loft last week, and it's having some issues. The kinks aren't 100% worked out yet. But as soon as I have Wi-Fi and I can jump on a quick Facebook Live, I mean, I'll jump on every day. I'm already out there. It just takes a little bit.
You gonna have like live feed cameras out there, or?
I might do something like that in the future, but I haven't added anything like that at all. To be honest with you, I'm just trying to get the loft built and finalized before we're ready to accept birds here. I bought a pigeon trailer, and I'm already going to have to either build a new trailer or make some changes to my current one, just based off the amount of birds that I'm gonna have signed up. One thing at a time.
Know a guy
that fabricates trailers?
Sure.
Who's that? You?
Yep.
Come on over, man.
Been to Louisiana before.
There's no better guy to fabricate a trailer than somebody that knows pigeons.
I didn't say I knew much about pigeons. That's why we're doing this,
Trying to explain it to somebody that has no idea, though, it's pretty tough.
I totally get you. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun, actually. That'd be a neat project. That'd be one I've thought about doing for myself, but what the heck, what for?
Yeah, right. I'll tell you what, there is some very good trailers in the one Loft race game, if you will. So I just model. Well, I'll tell you what, I model a lot of what I'm doing off of these other guys that have been successful. Even if you look at my loft, I kind of took a couple of the guys' lofts that I really like, and I kind of made it my own. But nothing I've done yet is just, really just my idea. Like I'm just some genius. It's all, I just tailor it off of the guys that do it well.
Like old Bad Chad says, he says, take home what you like and throw away the rest.
That's it, man.
Yeah, got to reinvent the wheel. This has been done before, so just keep doing better with it. And I think with all the One Loft stuff, it seems like it's about, like you're saying, integrity, because of some of the shady stuff that's happened with some of the other ones that get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they mishandle birds, or just something kind of funny happens.
There's a lot of talk for sure. I'll be honest with you. I'm not really on the in or on the no with really any of this, which I think is probably one of my strengths. I just like pigeons, and the more I kind of get into this one Loft race, and the more I meet more people, you kind of see that a little bit more about the big business of it, if you will. For me, I just want to fly some pigeons and hopefully make a living doing it.
So then, with the pigeons that come in, you're going to do all the vaccinations?
I am. Yep.
And what do you vaccinate for?
I'm going to vaccinate for PMV rota, and that'll be at intake. It'll be one shot when the birds come in, and then 2 weeks later they'll get another one, and then I'll do paratyphoid later on in the season as well.
Paratyphoid, that's salmonella, right?
Exactly.
Can you give us a breakdown of what your training process is going to be like with the birds?
So when the birds come in, they're going to go right into, and I don't know if you saw my last video, Phil. I have like these, I call them just breeding cages. The birds are going to immediately go into a breeding cage, and I have a whole kind of system that they're going to go through for 2 weeks with the vaccinations, getting wormed, getting parasites, red drops, canker pill, those kind of things. And then they're immediately going to go, like the first week birds will go into section 1. And they're immediately going to start trap training. So from there, I'll have the birds go out of the trap, so that way they know, anytime you go out a door, right, the first place you're going to try to go back into it is through that same door. So that's how I'll train the birds into what I call like the net system. And then from there, so the first week birds will go into room 1, and then I have 12 rooms that'll be devoted to these birds. And I have my intake process is currently 8 weeks, but I might extend it. And if I do extend it as much as 12 weeks, then each week will have its own room devoted to it. So I'll kind of have a system of, the different age of the birds and the different, I guess, maturity of the training of what they're at. Once all of those birds are trap trained and settled, that's when I'll take the net system down, and the birds can start loft flying at that point. Once the birds are out up routing real well, and when I say routing, they disappear, right, for 30 minutes, an hour, and they're just up flying real well, and they're kind of out of sight. And at that point, I'll be ready to, load them up on the trailer and take them down the road.
Do you have other folks helping you? Is it?
I do. I have some other guys helping me, and I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm ready to, to hire some full-time and/or part-time people, but it's really going to just depend on the need, right? I mean, I'm a pretty young and able guy. I'm 31 years old, and I'd like to think I'm still somewhat fit. I don't know how true that is, but I can do quite a bit on my own. If depending on the number of birds come in, is going to depend on the level of help that's hired.
Fair enough. I heard you mention that you have a job.
No, not anymore. No, this
is your job now. This is your
Yes, sir.
career. All right, I got you. So
I was in corporate. I was in the military, and after I got out of the military, I got into medical sales. And my last role, I was an enterprise account executive for a very large company. And some people think I'm crazy for leaving that to, start a pigeon race. But like I said earlier, you kind of hit a crossroads of a now or never moment. And this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm passionate about. So made a career change, and this is what I'm gonna do.
You do what you love, and then you never go to work a day in your life, right?
Yeah, when you're doing, and I work from home technically because my loft is on my property. So
there you go.
You're taking birds internationally too?
I mean, I am. Like if birds come from Canada or Mexico, I'm not gonna, turn them down. I don't know. I don't think I even have anybody signed up internationally yet. I'd have to go back on Wikipedia and check. But yeah, short answer, yes. I would take birds internationally.
So when people are looking to get signed up with this one loft race, I know you have a Facebook. What's the website as well?
Yeah, it's LouisianaPerch.com.
Oh, nice. You got the good one, huh?
Keep it stupid simple.
Nice.
I can't believe nobody had that. That's
Well, I'm the only race in Louisiana.
yeah. I figured it would be some sports bar or something or something.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's funny because I was wearing my hat the other day and I was actually in Texas, and my hat has a pigeon on the logo as well. And the girl looks at me and goes, "That's my favorite kind of fish right there, Louisiana perch." I said it's not referring to the fish, but I do also like Louisiana perch.
That's great.
It was funny.
That's my favorite fish. Love it.
I'll always be wearing some sort of a shirt with a pigeon on it or a hat with a pigeon on it. And, hey, every now and then, I'll bump into somebody who's another fancier, and it sparks up a good conversation and everything else, But most of the time, people are just like, "Why's that guy wearing pigeon stuff all the time?"
Right.
This guy must be an exterminator. He's got pigeons.
Right.
Yeah, you don't come around a lot of pigeon flyers on accident. At least I know. I'll tell you what. One thing that's good about where I live is north of me. There's literally no pigeon flyers, and that's the course that we're flying. It's a northeast course. Okay. So the only time that my birds will run into another group is if when the Lafayette guys are training their pigeons. Obviously, I'm not going to race my birds on the same day that they're racing. So the only interaction they'll have with another group of birds will be on only during training. That'll be pretty rare, I think. Whereas like if you fly in Houston or something and you're flying north up through Dale, I mean, there's all kinds of different pigeon operations going on over there.
What do you use to train these birds for a vehicle? What are you driving? Let's just get an idea what kind of mileage you're getting and the expense on that.
Yeah, geez. Well, I mean, I drive an F-150, and I typically just haul my birds in crates, right, and just put them in the back of the truck. Now, this will be my first time hauling a trailer. I did go buy this trailer from Oklahoma, which was an 8-hour drive, so I did drive this trailer 8 hours home. But yeah, it's totally decked out. It's 28 crates. The crates are 46 inches wide. It's got a hallway down the middle. It's got lights inside. It has a water tank. It's a pretty sweet trailer. But sorry to kind of jump off that, Chris. But as far as I drive a pickup truck. When you're training, you don't really ever train any further than probably 75, 80 miles. And then you have the first race, right? Activation race at 100, and then the 150, 200, 250, 350. But yeah, a lot of trainers before that. Yeah,
well, nowadays, gas prices being up there, it's considerable expense. I think that's a lot of the reason club flyers are slowing down, and the one loft races have become more popular. It's because you don't have all that travel expense, maintenance on the vehicle. So on.
Yeah, that's one of the many expenses, right? Obviously, when you send those birds off, you're not feeding them anymore, and feed's not cheap either right now.
Well, my vaccinations last year were $500 just for PMV salmonella. 100 birds at the time.
I have 18 doses of PMV rota in my fridge right now in my loft.
It's not cheap, guys. It's not cheap to vaccinate, but it's a great idea.
Oh, you have to do it. You absolutely have to do it. Yeah, when these birds get sick, if you're lucky and they don't die from PMV, I mean, they'll just absolutely never be the same. The bird will no longer ever be competitive.
So what are you doing for feed?
So when they first come in, I have them on a high protein, like a 16.5%. I use Baden. It's like a breeder's mix. Because when you first get birds, they're still young, right? Some guy, I like to have birds probably coming around 45, 50 days old. They're still growing and developing. So I'm going to keep them on a very high protein until we start training them. And then I'll go to something that has a lot more, higher carbs in it.
Do you have a contract with a wholesaler?
No, I don't. I haven't really looked too deep into that yet. I don't know. I'd like to probably at some point. It would probably be pretty smart just to have some feed and pellets coming in. Probably save me a lot of time. Maybe some money too. I'm all about saving a few bucks if I can.
Yeah, when you're doing things on a big scale, I bet every little penny's counted on that one. Saves
dude, you're not joking.
What about birds of prey? You got any issues with those in your area?
Yeah, everyone does. I've never talked to someone that doesn't have an issue with hawks. And everyone says that their area is the worst. And I don't know if every pigeon flyer I've talked to says that the hogs are the worst that he's ever seen in their area.
Well, I'll break that right now, man. I got no BOP. Well, I barely ever have any BOP. I've lost like. So I'm not gonna.
You said you don't have birds of prey?
Right. I mean, I technically do, but it's like some of these guys that talk about every time they fly their birds, they're losing a bird. I've lost like 2 birds in the last almost 5 years.
Wow, that's good. I will say this. There is hawks around here for sure, but I think it's very important for the hawks for the pigeons to come across a hawk at home for the first time, because if they're 20 miles away or 50 miles away and that's their first encounter with a hawk, good luck getting that bird home.
Right.
That's gonna blow it up real bad for you. So I would rather they get an experience with a hawk at home.
Do you have any kind of like tall posts set up, or are you doing any kind of deterrents for BOPs?
Yeah, I mean, I have like some tall power lines and stuff still pulled. So I had to actually move some power lines when I built this loft. I told them to just leave the posts still there, and I'll do some different things to kind of try to mitigate the prey and the threats to the birds.
Yeah.
I don't think bluff flying I've ever had an issue. Not that they're not here. They're all over the place. They're all over my rollers all the time. The homers, they route so much and take off, and they'll even get close to the hawk, which I thought was kind of cool.
Those might be red tails. You don't really have any issues with the red tails because they just can't really catch them. But if you get a Cooper's hawk out of them, good luck. Or I don't know if you guys ever have goshawks where you live, but we had some goshawks when I was a kid, and boy, those are nasty. I
got a falcon.
Oh yeah, falcons will tear you up.
I got a falcon, and there's nothing you can do about the falcon. I don't think I saw him leave it empty-handed. Yeah, the hawks, they're not too bad. And with a homer, man, they fly a lot different than the other birds do.
Yeah, and when they get older, they're fast, right? And if they know about the hawks and the birds of prey, they'll see them from pretty far off and they'll take off. But yeah, I definitely lose them a lot more when they're young and they're stupid. But as they get older, you lose less and less for sure. So you'll still lose one every now and then.
Yeah, that is good for them to get that experience and know how to evade and get out of the way for sure.
Much rather happen at home, that's for sure.
Hey, is your loft a raised loft or is it ground set?
Oh no, it's 8 feet off the ground. It's raised 8 foot.
Okay. What do you got for floor?
I could drive my pickup truck under there, and I built it that tall to be able to drive my skid steer under there to clean it out every year.
Nice.
And the floor is 100% expanded metal.
Expanded. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that picture where you had your truck backed up underneath of it. That's pretty cool design.
Yeah, it's a sweet loft, man. I try not to cut any corners at all and do it right the first time. But
wood, steel, or I'm sorry, I'm behind the 8 ball here.
No, the loft is built with treated lumber. It is it's a metal shell, like kind of think of like a pole barn.
Sure.
And the floor is the expanded metal, or it's steel ultimately.
Very cool. Very cool. I kind of built mine similarly. It's not so damn big, but it has a wire floor. But I did because I'm here in the sweat box. I used wood fencing around it so that it had breather holes. But mine's on a much smaller scale, and it's like a little oven in there if I put metal around it.
Yeah, I mean, being that mine's so high off the ground and the back is completely open, the back end one side is completely open, and there's a 2-foot ridge vent at the top where the air can get out.
Right.
And so between the faux ceiling, if you will, where I put the wire, and the roof is 8 feet, and then there's another 2-foot ridge vent, a gap. I mean, it's not the heat of the summer right now, but man, the air moves real nice in there. We'll know for sure when July hits in Louisiana.
Gotcha.
But if I need to put some exhaust fans or things like that in there, I'll just do that. It won't be an issue.
Sure. Yeah. See, pole barns are usually built out of steel poles around here. I didn't know that there were wooden pole barns until I went back over there.
It's a pretty sweet building. I would say you guys should come check it out, but that'd be quite a drive. It's on
Road
Facebook,
trip.
Right.
I posted a video of it, and the video's on YouTube as well. If you just type in Louisiana Perch, I think it's just Loft update.
Yeah, and following the Facebook, we'll definitely be following once things really start getting into motion over there. That'll be really fun to stay along and watch how it all goes, man. I mean, I really hope it goes well for you. That sounds like you're being transparent with everything you're doing. You got a pretty good program, and really want to see this thing take off and good. I mean, it's interesting because it's bringing out a whole new style of racing. I think it is different than club racing.
Oh, it's way different.
Yeah,
It's different. Different birds win it too.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can have birds that are crushing it in the club and they just get dominated in the one Loft races.
One thing I don't think we talked about was payout. Did we talk about payout yet?
So it's $350 for the activation.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, all of that money goes toward the prize pool. So
I see here it says 350. So
yep,
that
so
means
I activate 1,000 pigeons. That's based on 1,000 birds.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. So you could get, I mean, you can handle 3,000, you say, or 5,000, was it?
3,000 is about the absolute max I'd put in that loft. Remember, that is the birds that are activated, right? So, you lose some birds during training and all of that, of course, that's inevitable. But I'm going to be doing everything in my power to get, as many birds to the activation as
sure. Yeah, not everything gets activated. I think that's one thing that we all should understand. Are you going to have a period for replacements?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's the same. So right now, the acceptance period is February 26th to April 26th, and that's 8 weeks. I mentioned I might open 2 weeks early, and I might close 2 weeks later, and I'm not officially announcing that yet, but I think a 12-week period that's the max I would do for acceptance. Okay. is 12 weeks, and you have it until the end of the acceptance period to send replacements.
Gotcha. Yeah, should something happen, something like that, you can send her in. That's always a good thing. Some of them, I don't think take any replacements.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think I see it. It seems to be pretty common. I think most people do.
I think they should, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, because that adds to them. They're gonna get paid for that anyway.
Yeah, and you figure in the beginning, right? You're not letting the birds out. You're just settling them and trap training them up until the end of the acceptance period. If you do lose a bird, it's probably primarily just from a sickness. I'm trying to think of what other reasons you'd be losing pigeons during the intake process.
Right.
Unless I don't know if guys are opening up like maybe the first couple groups after they're trap trained and letting them get out and fly, or what their protocols are. And in that case, you could definitely be losing them off the loft from either flyaways or even just, like the hawks that we talked about.
Thanks for coming on, Colin. I know we just like drilled you with all these questions, but I think it's great for people to get to know, your one loft and feel comfortable about sending birds into you. I think Chris will probably be sending some your way. Ain't that right, Chris? You're doing the Apple Cup, right?
Man, I don't even have Apple iPhone money. I can't.
Yeah, win a one loft race, man. You'll get it. You'll be good.
Yeah, there you go. The Apple Cup. I'm friends with Rick Mee. Yeah. He's the owner there. He does not do a perch fee at all. Well, he takes the perch fee, later on during the activation. But if he loses your bird, it's he doesn't get anything for it.
Yeah.
So I do think that's a pretty good incentive for him and for the breeders. It's definitely a risky move for him, but he's taking that on. So for people that are looking at the costs and stuff, I think that's definitely a good race for people to consider.
It certainly is attractive.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'd be lying if I said I haven't thought about doing that. Year one, like I said, if you guys knew how much money I have into this so far, your jaws would drop. So I feel like that'd be pretty risky to do that year one. But you never know. We'll see what the years in the future look like and the changes that I'll make when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Well, we'll definitely be following along with you as you're doing it, and wish you and everybody who goes into your one loft, man, a lot of success.
I appreciate that, man.
Hope that goes well.
And if you guys are interested, if anybody that's listening, interested in sending birds, please register on Win Companion. If you send 5 birds or 6 birds, you can get one free. Send you a Louisiana Perch hat if you do so. And check us out on Facebook, Louisiana Perch, if you want some information on the loft, and then we also have a video on YouTube as well. Lastly, my phone number is listed on my website. Just give me a call anytime. When we're trying to squeeze things into a quick little podcast here, I probably can't really elaborate as much as I'd like to. So if you have any additional questions or want some more information, just give me a call and I'd be happy to talk it out.
Excellent. thanks again for coming on and talking with us about your one loft race. Really appreciate it, Kyle.
Cool. Thanks, guys.